I am here with a very special guest, Coach Tom, Director, NorCal Dynasty, Sierra Assistant Coach, and we will get into all those in a few. But again, welcome. If you want to introduce yourself real quick, Tom, go ahead.
I'm Tom Tran, and Brian said, I'm the director of NorCal Dynasty, assistant coach for Sierra College women's basketball for the past 6 years. Been coaching youth basketball for almost 20 plus years now.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Dynasty, and what you've created. How did it all start?
Man, so I used to coach for numerous clubs in our area. And then one time I just basically came to the point of where I was like, why don't I just coach my own team, right? I can do it how I want to do it. So it kind of started for boys side of it was about 2013 is when I kind of officially started a dynasty boys team. And it was basically like two teams, middle school boys and high school boys. And then from those two teams in like a couple of years, it went from two boys teams to like 90 boys in our club. And then for girls, I started coaching girls around 2017. And now, like, even though we do have boys and girls, there's been mainly a lot more girls teams since 2017.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years, 12 years plus, affecting a lot of families. What are some of your favorite memories of NorCal Dynasty?
Um, I would say like the bonding relationship to me, and then for some kids, seeing a lot of these kids grow up, right? We had a girl this year that just graduated. I've been coaching her since she's been in fifth grade. So getting to see her from that elementary kid to her making her middle school team to being a section champion, now her playing basketball in college, right? So getting to see them through the whole process and just seeing that the person player that they have become.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we coached together this spring, having Z from fifth grade to senior year, that commitment. What does that mean to you when someone commits to a program? Because as we see nowadays, everyone's jumping from team to team. What does that mean to you?
I think it's rare, right? I think, like obviously you were there when I got to talk about her and her family and the 7 years that I've coached her and then know the family. Not one time have they ever said anything about her daughter playing. Um, why isn't she starting and all this stuff, right? They've basically said, hey, she's on her own. Like we trust the whole process of everything. And I always tell people that's just very rare in youth sports right now, right? Because if my kid's not starting here, then I'm going to jump from this team. And she's been loyal since day one. And that family has just respected us coaches. Hey, we're looking for the best interest of their daughter, and we're going to put her in the spot where we see best.
Yeah, I mean, she was great teammate from day one, right? Always just willing to do anything that we asked of her. To have the parent support. I mean, talk about kind of the how do parents affect an organization like that you're running?
Oh, I think it make or break, right? I mean, like I always tell people, like for us, it's a small little club compared to some of these big clubs out there that are either sponsored or they're traveling doing all this stuff. I think for me, I think the buy-in, not just from the players and the parents, is probably the most important thing, right? Because um, if it's not for that, I wouldn't be able to coach 90 some kids every year. I always take it to heart if a family's not feeling it or just right. Like I take that stuff personally, and so um, just having the buy-in from everyone, right? And if you don't have that buy-in, then it does make it a little more difficult because I think for us coaches, we do want what's best for every kid, which some families might not understand that or think that, but it does make it a tough situation if you don't have everyone that's bought in.
Yeah, I mean, I got to see that firsthand. The kids just really enjoy the experience. Where do you think that comes from of like why you wanted to create NorCal Dynasty and how you kind of create that experience for these girls and boys?
I go back to I think you kind of know a little story, right? Like I didn't play any organized basketball. I was cursed at when I played on my first rec team in sixth grade. I always tell people this story. I was cursed at by a coach, and I thought this is not what I signed up for, right? Like I was so used to playing basketball at the park, recess, that I just loved the game. And I told myself if I was ever to coach, I would not want to be what this coach was to me, and so I wanted to learn. So I just wanted to make sure I gave everyone like the best experience, right? And sometimes it's the experience for me might think, hey, I'm trying to look out, do what's best for the kid. I might challenge them and do certain things, but ultimately for us coaches, like I think we want what's best for everyone. And so for me, I think I care about the kid more than I care about the player, right? It wasn't that they were wearing a dynasty uniform. I told the kids, at our last talk was even if they leave playing for me, I still want to have that relationship with them. And I think my relationship with the players mean more to me than any team or game I've ever coached. And so that's why I get emotional when it comes to stuff like that because for the most part, everyone thinks of this as a business, which I don't fault anyone that does it for a business. But for me, my outlook was totally different because I wanted to make sure I gave the kids an experience and then like life lessons.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it a lot. Even if they don't play for the team we're coaching, we still want to see them win. Like, why do you think AAU culture, they don't really, it doesn't seem like everyone's rooting for each other. Why do you think that is?
Um, in my opinion, I think it becomes a numbers game, right? Everyone, I'm not saying this is like for everyone, but I think everyone sometimes thinks that they want the credit for this person or this person, right? I trained this kid, so if this kid makes it, it's because of it's my training. If this kid gets a scholarship, it's because it's my coaching or whatever it is, right? And I'm not saying everyone is like that, but I think we're in a world now where a lot of people are like, oh, we want the credit for this player. And like we've told our kids, right? It's their journey. Like how my life or how I coach is totally different from how Coach Brian coaches or how Coach Jenna and Jeff coaches. But I think that's what makes our group so unique is because we have four different coaches, but we all have the same vision of like, it's about the kids. And I think with AU now, it's just everyone wants to have the credit of some of these student athletes, and I think that's where this game has, in my book, has gone down a little bit in our area.
I mean, how do you feel we in Sacramento, how do we do with youth basketball compared to Bay Area, SoCal? I mean, we've gotten to play in Vegas and Chicago, so even different states across the country.
Oh, I would say in the past couple of years, I would say NorCal basketball has gotten a bad rap because it's more about. I think there's politics everywhere, but I think it's more about like just like just behind the scenes stuff where a lot of people are talking bad about other people. We always talk about, right? It's a small little community. A lot of us coaches do talk, or we do find out like if someone is saying something. Um, so I think it's just it gives our area a bad rap, and I think we're not developing our players good enough. So when these kids do go to some of these tournaments out of area, parents are shocked of like, why isn't my kid doing good, or what's wrong? They do really good in our area, and I think they're so used to their little bubble and they're not it's a long-term goal, right? I think the development, I think winning now in the second, third, fourth grade is not going to be important if they're trying to get them ready for middle school, high school, and maybe college. So I think our outlook on players should be different. And even as parents, right? I tell some of our high school kids like talk to your parents. Do your goals align up with your parents' goals? Because it could be two totally different things, and that's where we could be clashing heads, right? My parents might think, hey, they should be going to college, they should be doing this sports. Well, what happens if you don't want to play sports in college, which is totally fine, but you might need to have those conversations with your parents because I think the goals are totally different sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we see that all the time, right? The goals don't necessarily align, and then it makes it hard for both parties,
Yeah,
right? So we have to make sure that if the kid truly does want to play college basketball, yeah, we're going to create an avenue to help them. But like you said, some don't want to play college basketball, and that's still okay. They might just want to continue to get better, have good high school careers, but then the parents have to be able to realize that and be okay with that as well.
yeah. I was just trying to tell the parents that just enjoy your kids playing, right? Just enjoy watching it because with a blink of an eye, like it'd be like a Zarea thing, right? I know she's playing basketball in college, but it could be like one day she was in fifth grade and now she's already graduating. Like, I mean, it goes by that quick. And sometimes if you're so worried about them, like possibly doing really good or playing, getting a college scholarship, that you just don't enjoy all the process throughout that whole moment.
Yeah, I mean, over the last, let's see, so you've been coaching girls for about 7, 8 years.
Yep.
Who are some of the best girls that you've played against? Because I know you've played against some good
Oh
ones.
man. Um, Probably any. I mean, shoot. Avery Howell. I always tell the story. Avery Howell, that was at USC, that's now at University of Washington.
Washington.
I'm friends with her coach Ashley. We got to play them in the first tournament. I think she was a sophomore at Elite as Earned, and I remember there was like 20 Division I coaches there. I didn't even know who the girl was, and I could have sworn like our game was the closest game to them, but we lost by like four, and it was like 43 to 39. I thought she had 40 points. Like I legitimately thought she had 40 points, and I was talking about that during lunch, and then we go back to the hotel, and she's literally at the hotel. They're at the same hotel as us, and they're in the lobby. And I was literally just talking about her, and then her and her mom were there, and I asked her how many points she scored. She's like, "Oh yeah, she only had like a 20 and 20." And I mean, goddamn, she just did whatever she wanted out there, and we got to play her the last couple of years. Bryn, that was her team that's at University of Washington. Played Jazzy Davis in the last couple of years. That's the number one recruit that's going to USC. Um, we've played some pretty like talented players, and I would say probably Jazzy probably is like the cream of the crop just because of how easy she made the game, and like we were throwing double teams, triple teams at her, and it was like it didn't even phase her. I mean, so she probably was one of the ones that was fun to coach against, but also fun just to watch and see how that level of play it just separated her from everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, she did it with Northwest Select, and then she did it with Cal Stars,
Yep.
and now she's off to USC, right? So
Yep.
definitely one of the top players. Same with yeah, Meta Hoops, Idaho, right? They're always tough teams. They always have really good players going to Washington. That'd be exciting to see the duo back together for sure. What's one of the best teams that you've beaten,
Oh man.
or a
Shoot.
couple of most memorable wins, maybe?
Man, that's gonna be a tough one. I'm trying to think of shoot. Probably my probably one of the best one was Coach Jenna. It was her sophomore year. We went to Atlanta. We played Pro Skills EYBL. And it was like an early morning game, right? It was like a early morning game before we were coming back for like our third stop for our viewing period. Um, and there was no coaches there, right? It was an early morning. It was like an 8 a.m. game. There was no one there. And here's our little team with like bright pink, gray, black and pink uniforms. We're playing this team, and we just could not miss. It was like we just were hitting everything. And only reason I remember this is their coach had called a timeout. I could probably find the footage, but their coach called a timeout and was just reaming the team. And we were right next to this other court that had some college coaches there, right? And the coach was so loud that they literally brought their chairs and turned it and watched our game because it was like, what is going on over here, right? And like that was probably one of the most exciting ones because it was like our second year of playing and we were traveling. We got to play on like a high level team. Um, yeah, there's just I mean, we've had a lot of memorable games, right? There's been some games that we haven't won, but it was like, man, we played really well. Um, but that's probably the one game that probably made me think, all right, like because I at first didn't want to coach girls basketball. Right? I was like, girls basketball, I don't know if I can do it. I've always done boys, and that game probably like solidified. All right, I do like coaching girls basketball. Right? Like it, it is intense, and so that probably is what started the whole dynasty thing for girls basketball. I would think.
And shout out to Coach Jenna, who's now coaching with you, right? So
Yep.
come full circle. You coached her as a player, coached her at Sierra, won a state title, and then now she's coaching Dynasty with you and
Yep.
Sierra College.
Yep.
So she'll be able to continue this Dynasty legacy, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully, I've been talking to someone named Brian, and her. Hopefully, they could probably like keep that legacy going. But yeah, she's been amazing. That we go back on Z. Z's first varsity tournament as a fifth grader was with Jenna. That was her very first, and she got. I mean, I always tell people like Z has gotten to play with every probably dynasty varsity girl great that's ever worn that uniform. She's gotten to play with every single one of them, so it's been probably an awesome experience that she got to play with Jenna, and then she ends her high school AAU career with Jenna coaching her.
And then playing in college with Jenna also.
Yeah.
So now she has next year at Sierra, she'll be playing with or for Coach Jen as
Yep.
well. So now the other side of it, what are some reasons why you decided to step away from coaching? Because we know this was your last year. A lot of emotions for sure. What are some of the reasons that went into why you are decided to make that move to go away from coaching?
Um, I mean, it's a mixture of a lot of things, right? One, I always tell people that, like I don't do it for the money, and I think a big part of it became the money situation of like people not paying fees, tournament fees, whatever it is, and how much money was coming out of pocket. I had a conversation with my wife about a couple of years ago. She said, "Could you make this a living, right? Coaching, doing all this stuff." And I know like some coaches don't make it a living. Some do. Some can, do trainings and do all that stuff. I've never done that. Any like open gyms stuff that we've done, it's always been out of pocket for me, right? Because I thought like not everyone has that opportunity or has the money to do it. So I wanted to give every kid just an opportunity, a chance. Because for me as a kid, um, since I didn't get to play, right, I didn't get to have those experiences. I had to go play at a park and do all these things, and so. Um, I just lost a lot of money the last couple of years, right? Of people not paying, but they would still show up to games. They would see an email, know the fee, right? And just to mind for some people that had to pay like monthly fees, our fee is just like we pay the tournament as you go. So if Coach Brian is playing in a tournament this weekend, whatever that tournament fee is, we just split it to whatever how many kids we have on our team, right? So if we have 10 kids and we're playing at a Nike tournament, the Chicago where it's $1,000. All right, everyone's paying $100, whatever it is, right? And there's some kids that can't pay, and I just pay out of pocket for them because I don't want them to have money in an issue where they don't get that opportunity. But I think some families have taken advantage of that where they don't say anything, right? Like I always tell people, like if you can't pay a fee, right, you just let me know, we'll figure it out. I don't want them not to be able to play, but I think a lot of families took advantage of that, and when I'm coaching 90 kids or trying to manage 90 kids because it's not I don't have a team mom. I'm doing all that stuff, scheduling, planning, collecting, and doing all that stuff on the side too. Um, it took a toll, right? And so me and my wife had a conversation. She said, "Well, could you do this for a living?" And I just told her, "I've never coached basketball for money, and I've done this for 20 plus years. Have always done it this way. And if I was to change and say, all right, I'm going to charge a little bit more, do this things, I would be cheating myself and the kids and families out." So then I came to hard, you know, last year we were going to Hawaii and I had told a group of families that I had whose kids were playing for me last spring or last summer. And I had wanted to let them know first that I was not going to decide to coach after this year. And there's other reasons, right? I think some I do let the outside noise get to me. And as much as coaches are like very hard and like we don't let that stuff affect us, for me, since I don't make anything out of it, right? A lot of those connections or whatever is what I cherish. And so when someone is not happy or someone is frustrated or someone is talking behind my back or whatever it is, I just take those personally, right? I as much as I shouldn't social media, I know social media, we always talk about I always tell the kids, right? Like your journey is totally different from someone else's. But when you see people taking shots at you or saying certain things, it does affect you in some way. As much as us as adults, it shouldn't. Um, we're here to help these kids out, right? And when people are taking advantage of that or thinking that we're totally different, like I don't think I had to prove myself to anyone. Um, but then I say like, all right, if I step away from it, now they really can't talk about me anymore. I've no, but then I mean, it gets emotional, right? Because it's like I do love this game. I do love teaching kids, and um, it was just I think a direction I had to go. And so I'm still like everyone keeps on asking me like, oh, what are you gonna do? Like, and I still like I don't even know what I'm gonna do, right? I'm still like thinking about the last term that we were playing in all those moments. And so I just feel I mean we had a conversation. I felt bad because I had a conversation with myself saying, if I don't do this, where do these kids go?
Mhm.
Are they gonna get taken advantage of by going somewhere else, right? Because I don't think they had to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do these things, right? I think sometimes a lot of these clubs or whatever it is are taking advantage of some of these families that maybe don't have money and saying that you're going to do this kid's going to go here and being at the JUCO level at the JC and talking to a lot of these college coaches and all over, right? Like we have a different outlook on what college experience is and some of these kids right now. I think since we don't have all these 5-star kids, we had to be real to some of these families that think their kid might be going to a certain level, which they might not be able to succeed at a different level, and letting having that conversation with them instead of saying, "All right, I'm just using you for the money situation."
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it a lot, right? We the schedule that we've played this spring and summer, there's not a lot of teams that could say they played that kind of schedule, right? And it doesn't have to be you charging three, four, $5,000 a month to play a schedule like that, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
think proven that. I mean, we could run down the list of teams that we played in
yeah.
the spring and summer, and we've played everyone, right? We've
Well, I think we go back to right. Like I think we were having that conversation. I think at dinner, right? And I was looking about. I was like, everyone like talks about our group and sometimes right like all like our players and stuff and I'm like man in the spring I think we went 5-15 like I mean there's a couple of turns where we didn't even win a game but you would have thought like oh you see all this like the social media stuff and we just try to tell our girls like it's a long process right and like if you want to play basketball in college or if you want to be a better person in life um you need to go through adversity right and I think we went through a lot of adversity this year right each month each tournament and so hopefully I think the families realize that hey, we can play these kind of teams, get the experience, hopefully learn what I need to work as an individual. We told a lot of our girls, right? Like, hey, we might not win this game, but what did you get out of it? What do you need to work on to get ready for your high school season, right? Because you guys might be your best player on your high school team. You get away with whatever you want. But now that you're playing a lot of these top level teams, you're realizing that you have flaws. And are you working on those flaws to get ready for your upcoming season, right? And I think is preparing them for that.
Yeah, I think we got to see firsthand, right? We got to see the girls play in April and May, and then we went to go watch them play with our high school teams in
Yep.
June, and the growth that they had in just those 2 months. Yeah, we took some losses playing tough teams, but to see them play in June and like the leadership roles that some of them took, playing against better competition with their high schools. I mean, for me personally, that was worth a lot to watch,
Yeah.
right? And
I
that
think
was,
I mean I think it's a win, right? I think a lot of families or people just think of a win as on the scoreboard, right? Did your team win or lose? And even if you lose, you can still gain something out of the loss, right? I always try to tell like my younger players, Warrior Cats players and their families, right? Like if you put so much emphasis on your kids scoring and they don't score, then they think they've played a bad game. And we've had this talk with some of our high school kids, right? Just because you don't score doesn't mean you didn't play good or bad. Like you did other things to help the team succeed. You might not think it because the ball didn't go in the hoop. Um, so I think there's just letting them know.
I think some of our girls had their best games when they didn't score,
Yeah,
right? And not everyone sees it that way. Like we talk about, oh, how many points did you score? Well, more so, how did you affect the game? Did you help
yeah,
your teammates get easier shots? Did were you moving the ball? Were you defending? There's a lot more to it than just scoring, even though everyone always, the first question is, well, how much did you score? Did you win?
yeah,
Did you lose? It's like there's a lot more to it than just scoring. And I think, parents, players need to realize that there is more to scoring and there's a bigger picture to all of it as well. If you're a
yeah.
point guard, college coaches might not be looking for you to score. They're probably looking for you to pass and set your teammates up.
Yep.
So, if we're trying to help our kids get recruited, then as a point guard, you might need to help set your teammates up more than scoring. And that might be
Yeah.
more important for your
I mean, I
recruitment.
think that's what helped us too this year with like Coach Jenna, they right doing stats. We had the plus minus, letting kids understand, when you go play basketball in college, they do look at the plus minus, right? So if some games you're having negative, whatever it is, the coach is gonna be like, well, we might not be able to play you as much the next game, right? Because you can't get 20 minutes a game and you're always in the negative. Like coaches look at that, right? So preparing the kids and realizing, hey, one game you, Coach Brian, you might play in a game and you might score 20 and you have a plus 20, but then your next couple of games you have a negative. Well, then your minutes might go down now, right? Like college coaches look at those little things because they're trying to do what is best for their program to succeed in games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think just seeing their growth, right? In July, we went to Vegas and Chicago, and seeing the success that they had, but also just the growth as individuals, as both on and off the court. The wins and losses are all great. We had good record, 4-2, 5-1, but just seeing their growth, right, as individuals from when we started in March through July. I mean, talk about kind of your last season and the growth that you saw with these girls?
Man, I think for me, not just the team, I would say as individuals and players, right? I go, like we had the conversation after our last game and talking to the kids, right? When I had Juliet from Colfax as a sophomore, she was a quiet kid, didn't talk to anyone, worked really hard, but did not communicate with anyone. Then all of a sudden, her junior year, she starts talking, hanging out with Z, and all of a sudden now they're just cracking jokes. I'm like, what? You went from not talking, now you're just cracking jokes at me, right? And like to me, seeing them open up to one another and trust them as like family, right? I know we always talk like a lot of teams talk about family, and I think we talked about a little bit before this, podcast aired. It. I think what was the best thing about it was seeing all those girls hang out, right? Like not just in the game, but I think if you have a true sisterhood, brotherhood, whatever teams you're on, and you do things together, you will sacrifice a little bit more in games, right? And we lost some girls. Some girls couldn't make it to the term in Chicago. We added a couple pieces, right? But it was like we said, the girls that were there, um, it was a sacrifice they did for one another, right? They genuinely wanted to do what was best for their teammate more than themselves. And I think once you had that outlook in games, amazing things can happen, right? And I think for me, the joy of the whole thing was just seeing how much they all cared for one another, right? Like when some of those girls were coming out for the end of the game, they were, I think, crying with tears because it was over, but realizing like this team was special. Their friendship and bond with some of these girls that they might never have been friends with if they didn't play basketball, what basketball brought them together was um, that this was the end for them, right? And so, like we said, right, like those are the games and teams you want to make sure that you appreciate because not every team is like that. And I think we had a rare group of girls um, that it was hard in the beginning and then they start figuring things out and then they start caring for one another and I think that was probably the most rewarding part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember walking to some of the games and they're just really trying to put everything in perspective. And they're saying, wow, this is the end of our AAU careers. We're never going to be on a team like this again.
Yeah.
They're going to go off to play in college, but they know that it's going to be different, right? It could
Yep.
be equally fun, but they know it's going to be different in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the win,
Yeah.
right? We talk
I
about
think
the
they I
losses
mean they
like,
probably won't understand it until like years down the road but like I talk to Coach Jen all the time, right? Like she might even tell you some of her best years of playing basketball could have been AU and even playing basketball at JC, right? She went to a 4 year college, but like you don't realize it until you go to a different team or you play on a different and you start realizing, man, I did probably take this team for granted or whatever it is, right? Because I do see these girls all the time, but now that I don't see them, it's like, man, I do miss them, right? And I think that was for me being sad about the whole thing. I think it was more not that my coaching career was done. It was like I'm not going to be able to be there to watch them grow as individuals and players anymore. And I think that to me was probably the hardest part of it, the whole thing, right? Because I got to see these kids grow, and now you're still there for them, but you're not there almost every day to see that whole process through.
yeah, no, it's going to battle with them, right?
Yeah,
You're at practice multiple times a week. You're on the road for 2 weeks straight. There's a lot of stuff going on that you can see and help them through and really just see their growth as individuals.
yeah.
So what do you think is coming next for yourself now that you're not doing Dynasty, or what do you envision for Dynasty?
I don't even know. I think, well, we were talking about this, right? I'm not even sure, like, do we keep Dynasty around? Like, what does Dynasty mean? I've had, I always put polls up here like, oh, should Dynasty still be here? Should I have involvement? Some people are like, no, you shouldn't be, but then some people say you shouldn't. I think Dynasty has never been about me. It's been about the kids and families. Um, so I still want some part of basketball. I think I'm still gonna be doing stuff around like clinics, giving my 2 cents and stuff. Me coaching, I might not be coaching, but like I still think I'm still doing something at a clinic where it still involves kids.
Mhm.
Um, so me personally, I'm not even sure, right? I think I want to have more involvement of like giving back to our community. We always do like a shoe donation, like just a thing in the Christmas around giving back to like some of our underprivileged schools. So I do want to have more involvement in that and helping give hope for some of the kids that might not get an opportunity. So I think I still want to do that part of it. So figure that's not coaching, but it's still being a part around the kids. For Dynasty, I'm not sure. I have a meeting on Sunday with some coaches, seeing like what the outlook of basketball in our area is going to be, and what my vision and thought process of the whole thing is. Right, it could be under Dynasty, might not be under Dynasty, but um, my always worry of the whole thing is like if it is still to go around, does whoever's helping, you know, take over, is it about the kids, right? And that's what Dynasty was created for, the kids and families. As much as some people might not think about that, right? Like it's always been about the kids first. We never have thought about this kid. Oh, my kid did this in high school. Like it was just another player we thought of, right? Like giving kids an opportunity and a chance. Some kids might have gotten cut, right? And we always thought like those are the kids I wanted like to give a chance to, right? Some of my best girls teams ever have had girls that have quit playing high school basketball because they just don't want to play, but they want to be a part of a team and family. And so, um, if it is still around, is that legacy still go on
Mhm.
moving forward?
Yeah. No, I mean, I have a lot of respect for what you've done for the game, and just being able to see it firsthand this year was just amazing to see. You've left a huge footprint on a lot of people, and whoever follows is going to have a tough act to follow for sure. But I know you'll still be there to help guide it and make sure it's successful. So exciting times to come to see. You get some free time back now. Get to
Yeah.
travel with your wife, and I'm sure you'll be a lot more traveling, which is exciting to see where you
Oh
go.
yeah, I don't even know. We went to San Francisco last week. We are just hanging out, and then she's like, "Oh, so are you used to this?" And I was like, "No, not used to this." Right? Like it just, I mean, it's just weird not having to go to anything or see anyone or see these kids. I think that's the thing I miss the most. As much as I do love hanging out and that I get to have all those experiences that we missed out on. But when people ask me, I'm like, yeah, I'm not even sure how to feel because I'm so used to like getting my clipboard and going to this tournament, going here and here and there. And so, um, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Has it hit you that you're not coaching anymore, or is that not really sunk in yet?
A little bit, it's weird because I'm going to be coaching the next 2 weekends. Just my little Warrior Cast team. I told them I would coach because I didn't get to coach them in July. Um, but I've had like kids and families message me like, "Are you sure?" Like, "Oh, so and so wants to play for you again," and like yeah, it hasn't hit me fully, but um, I think it's gonna start hitting when I just start seeing all these kids outside of like me not coaching them and see them play elsewhere, because then I might go back to like, would it be different if I get to coach them still, right? And so I think that'll be probably the hardest part at first.
Lucky for the Warrior Cats, you get a couple more weekends
Oh
with Coach
yeah,
Tom. You
exactly.
better get
Yeah.
those ices when you can.
Oh yeah. No, I'm making sure we go to a place that does not have any ices. Yep.
All right, final question. All-time Lady NCD starting five.
Oh, dang. Well, hopefully no one sees. I mean, shoot. Hopefully no one sees this because I might be pissing off some people. Um, Man, starting five. Oh God. I'm gonna say Jenna in that group just because just the relationship and like what we've been through, right? Like I mean, I always tell her story to people and I think it's pretty inspiring. She doesn't really ever brag about herself, but I brag for her just because of she went from being down in high school, going JC, getting a scholarship after her first year, and then decided to come back to JC because she wanted to win a state championship. She ended up going to JC 3 years because of COVID, right? And she became a
Mhm.
state championship. Um, there would be no NCD without her,
Yep.
right? So I would say her. Um, I had to put Z in there because she's the longest tenure NCD player, and like I tell people all the time, people look at like scoring. Z does a lot of stuff that other people do not do. And I think that's what's inspiring about her, because she is the biggest cheerleader for her teammates. She'll be the first one on the loose ball on the ground, right? So I think those two, I guess you could use some shooting, right? So I'll say Lauren in there, right? Because we're gonna have to be able to score. So those three. Uh Grace from Colfax. She graduated 2023. Probably one of the most competitive players I've ever met, right? Like I always tell one of the stories is we were playing Team Tarasi EYBL in a tournament in Ladera Ranch, and we had no like we shouldn't even be in the game against them, but we were close. We lost. We were going to lunch, and she just stormed out. We After we talked, she did not want to talk. She was so pissed that we lost that she didn't want to go out to lunch with us, right? Like I just tell people like there's not that many people that are that competitive like her, right? And so that's one of my best memories of her, where she just left because she was so upset that we lost. And I'm like, no, it was okay that we lost. We only lost by like 8 points. Um, so as that's four. My fifth player, oof, I would have to say, man, there's so many good ones. I would have to say Sydney from St. Francis. Um, I mean, I've coached so many like amazing guards, and she's probably one of the ones that did everything was like a silent assassin there, just because of her ball handling. Um, Yeah, so I mean, she's one of the amazing guards that I've been able to coach the last 7 years with a group of like amazing people um, that yeah, I've gotten the opportunity to coach.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you've had a lot of them to coach and pick through, so it's always, shout out to those. We definitely need to get Coach Jenna on a podcast because her story is not told enough. We hear it, but I know there's a lot that have not heard it, and
Yeah.
her story is very inspiring. So I definitely think we should get her on to share her story as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I think she could tell you, everything as a player, and now her, last year, her officially like coaching, right? Like she went from a player, and then I tell people this story all the time too with her. She was very shy, did not like to talk to anyone, did not like to talk to coaches. When me and her were at Sierra College, and she was about to commit to Dominican, she was getting phone calls from other schools. She just broke down crying because she did not know what to do, right? She was getting pulled in so many different directions. But her story is probably just worth hearing for just families out there that might have the process of their kids of maybe they think they're getting overlooked or whatever. They can see like with hard work, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you end. And I think she's done all the things that people wish they could do. And just being able to hear that would probably be inspiring for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten to hear a lot of it, but I think there's still a lot that I would love to ask her about because I know there's a lot more details on that. So,
Oh yeah.
all right. Well, I want to just say thank you for sharing your story. You've, like I said, been a huge inspiration to everyone in the community. It'll be interesting to see what happens with youth basketball. I think we'll get on again and talk about kind of where we see youth basketball and the direction it's headed. But there's going to be tough footsteps to follow. But enjoy, um, I guess, your retirement of, coaching until further notice.
Yep. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks.